I'm showing you how to do one more problem. You're going to have a few of these. Let's see, how many? 1, 2, 3, 4. You actually have 4 of these on this worksheet that I'm going to give you. So I want to make sure that you know what's going on here. Let's make this a little bit thicker, actually. I'm going to put an X and a Y axis here. We're going to do a little bit of graphing, okay? So that's why I have these grids here. And no, I don't supply graphing paper. You don't absolutely need graphing paper. I'm just doing this. Just it helps a little bit. But you should have your own, all right, if you want to use it. I don't supply any graphing paper. Let's put some points in here. This is what they're going to do. They're going to give you some points, 3 points that make up a triangle. Okay? You pass? Can you give it to me? Like right now? Thank you. Alright, let's take a look. Let's put 3 points down here. We're going to make a triangle out of it. We're going to draw the triangle. We're going to find a couple things about this triangle. Okay, so they give you 3 points. We've already discussed how to find, how to plot points. So point P is at -1, 3. You should be writing this down. And then point Q is at -3, -1. And then point R is 4, -1. Alright, so they're relatively easy points. What we're going to do is we're going to plot these points, and let's see what shows up. Let's use this purple. We're going to plot these points, we're going to make a triangle out of it, and then we're going to answer a couple questions about this. Okay, so -1, 3. So -1, 1, 2, 3 is right there. So that's point P. Make it a little bit bigger. There we go. And then Q is -3, -1. So -3 means go to the left 3, 1, 2, 3, and down 1. There's -3, -1. And then you got 4, -1. So you go to the right 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and down 1 right there. Okay? And we're going to make a triangle out of this. So let's just connect the dots from there to there, and then from there to there, and then there to there. Alright, so we got a nice little triangle. Everybody good with that? Let's make this a little bit thicker just so it stands out a little bit more. Okay. So what we're going to do is they're going to ask you to find 2 things. They're going to ask you to find the perimeter. Find the perimeter. What do I mean by finding the perimeter of something? The distance around it. Right. That's basically my definition for perimeter, is the distance around. So we're going to find the distance around. If you were to walk around this triangle, how far would you have to walk? Okay, is what they're asking you to find. So we're going to find the perimeter, and we're also going to find the area of this. Okay, this is where the graph paper really helps out a little bit. Alright, so let's do the perimeter first. The perimeter is the distance around. So I got to figure out all 3 of these lengths. Well, how do I've got something that I've learned before in another chapter, or another section I should say, to find the length from here to here. Do you remember how to find the length of a line segment? The distance formula. That's right. So we're going to have to go back to that distance formula. So don't think that just because we had a quiz on it, it's all done. All right, you got to know the distance formula. So let's put the points in here, by the way. Let's do that. This is what? -1, 3 right here, right? This is -3, -1. And this is 4, -1. Alright, so what we want to do is we find the distance. Actually, one of these is really easy to find the distance. Which side is the easiest to find the distance? Okay, this was what? Let's label it PQR. So go ahead and tell me, PQ, is that the easiest one to find the distance? I think QR. Why QR, Sean? Because it's just straight across. Yeah, you can just kind of count, couldn't you? So let's do that. That's the easiest one. So let's just count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? So we started at -3, we ended up at +4. That's 7 places, isn't it? All right, so that length right there is 7. Let's do this. So right there is 7. All right, so far that's 7. Now what do we have to find? This length right here, don't we? All right, so how can we find this length? Use the distance formula. Okay, so let's use the distance formula. Excuse me. So let's do that. The distance equals square root. Remember this? You should have it memorized. I'm not going to put it on a test. Okay, I didn't put it on the quiz. I'm not putting it on the test. So I gave you time to memorize it for the quiz. Some of you didn't, but now you got plenty of time to memorize it for the test when we have a test on this. So make sure you do that. So what do we do first? Take the x's and do what to them? Subtract them, right. So it's going to be negative 1 minus, it's not minus 3, it's minus what? Negative 3. What's minus and negative going to be? It's going to be plus, isn't it? All right, so inside there will be a 2, won't it? We'll do that in the next step. What about this one? We subtracted the x's, so now what do you do here? Subtract the y's, okay? And so we go 3 minus, what's that number? Negative 1, okay? So let's see what we get. Don't forget that square root. Some of you guys, I don't know if it was this class or the other class or whatever, but I just remember a couple people were doing this, and they just decided, I don't want to write that square root sign because it's too much trouble, so I just won't write it down. But guess what you did at the end? You forgot to put it at the end, all right? And so if it was supposed to be like the square, I forget what the answer was in that quiz. It was like the square root of, I don't know, what was it? 60 or something, I don't know. So if you had like the square root of 60, some people just wrote 60. Is the square root of 60 and 60 the same exact number? No, it's not. All right, so you got to make sure that you don't forget that square root. So what do we got here? We can do this in our head. Negative 1 plus 3 is 2, and then you have to square it, and you get what? 4. What's this? 3 minus a negative. Minus a negative is plus. 3 plus 1 is 4. 4 squared is 16. So this is what? The square root of 20. We'll just leave it the square root of 20 for right now. That's this distance right here, isn't it? That's the square root of 20. We'll put it into a calculator when we're all ready to go to add them all up. Is that all right? So we'll just keep it the square root of 20 right there. That's supposed to be a square root. All right, let's do the same thing here. That wasn't that hard, was it? Distance formula seems to be a little bit easier now after you do it a few times. Let's do the distance between these two right here. We'll do it up here. So the distance is, put a big old square root. That was an ugly square root. Let's try another one. It's a little better. All right, put a parentheses squared, put a plus in between, another parentheses, and square that. Subtract the x's. We'll do it a little quicker. So it's you can subtract any order, it doesn't matter. But I'm just going to go negative 1 minus 4, and then subtract the y's. 3 minus a negative 1 again. Negative 1 minus 4 is negative 5. What if I square negative 5? What do I get? Square it, not multiplying by 2. Positive what? 25. It's going to be positive because you're squaring a negative. All right. Some people put a negative down, but when you square a negative, what's a negative times a negative? It's positive. So when we square, we're always going to get a positive here. So this is going to be 25. Do you agree with that? All right. Almost did something I told you not to forget. Put the square root there. What about this? 3 minus a negative. 3 minus a negative is plus. That's 4 squared is 16. All right. You add those up. What's that? 41. Is that right? Square root of 41. Don't just put 41. It's a completely different number than the square root of 41. 41 and square root of 41 are completely different. So this length right there is the what? Square root of 41. So we had to do all that work just to find what? The perimeter. So what do I do with all three of these numbers? Add them all up. That's right. So we'll do that. So it's the square root of 20 plus just a regular 7 plus the square root of 41. So just happen to have a calculator here. So let's put those in here. The square root of 20. All right, so the square root of 20. Now your calculator may be a little different. Now if you have like one of those smaller, just regular scientific calculators that's not graphing, you would probably put 20, then you'd hit the square root button. Okay, so make sure that you know how to use your calculator. I just don't. I looked and looked and looked online to try to get one of those small calculators on the computer, and I can't find them anywhere. I can only find this one. So I'm just going to use this one. So that's the square root of 20 plus just regular 7, right? Plus the square root of 41. So I hit second function, 41, close it. All right, so if I add them all up, there it goes. 17, let's go to 1 decimal place. What would that round if I go to 1 decimal place? 0.9. No, 1 decimal place. 17.9. That 7 rounds that 8 to a 9, so 17.9. So that's the perimeter, isn't it? So I'll put P equals 17.9. To tell you the truth, if you wanted to leave it like this, sometimes the book leaves it like that. All right? If you can't, if they can't combine, sometimes they just leave it like that. But you're probably more interested in leaving it like this, and that's fine too. Okay, so that would be the perimeter. What did I just find? I found the what? The distance around it. Okay, so if I was to walk around this thing, I would walk 17.9 whatever. Okay, feet, yards, miles, inches, whatever it is. Are we okay with that? It wasn't so bad, was it? Plotting the points, that was a piece of cake. All right, What was the hard part? The hard part was just finding the distance. But really, after we do this a while, was it really that? It's long, right? It's a little bit long, but does it, just because the problem is long, does that mean it's very difficult? I don't think so. All right, so you just find a distance here, find a distance here. This distance was easy, wasn't it? All right, and then there you go. What else does it say to find? It says find the area. Tell you what, I'm just going to get rid of some of this stuff just to get it out of the way. You've got it already written down. I'll keep those numbers up there. Let's get rid of that. Okay, that's good. Daniel, thank you. Find the area. Well, what do we know the area to be? The area is equal on a triangle. The area of a triangle, we talked about this yesterday. It's 1/2 the base times the height, isn't it? So you could go 1/2 BH, or what's another way you could write it if you don't like it like that? Base times height, what? Divided by 2. All right, either way, it doesn't make any difference. What are we looking for in this? This is the reason I didn't erase any of these things. I'm looking for base and height. Which one do you want to call the base? The 7. Okay, that's probably the best one to use. Okay, you don't have to. Look, I could have called this one right here the base if I wanted to. But where would the height be? The height would be from here perpendicular to the base, wouldn't it? That'd be kind of hard. Okay, you could still do it. It'd still work, but it's a little bit tough. I like this one being the base because I can find the height. Now, where in the world is the height? Perpendicular to the base. From the top, right? From the top. Let's not say straight down. Let's say what? Perpendicular to the base, all right? I know what you're saying when you're saying straight down, but I like perpendicular better. Let's scooch it over and make it a little bit thicker so I can see it. There we go. See that green one right there? Green doesn't stand out too good. Doesn't look green. How's yellow? Is that any better? Is that worse? Let's try to. What color do you think would stand out? How about red? Yeah.
Probably orange.
You think orange would be better?
Yeah.
Let's try it. Where's orange? This one. There you go. That looks alright. Yeah, it's right on the line. It's orange. On my screen it looks orange. What's it look like up there? Oh, it looks kind of brown up there. That's kind of gross, isn't it? Let's use the let's use yellow. Does the yellow look good? Yeah, it looks okay. All right, that's good enough. So what is that yellow? It's the height, isn't it? Okay, it's not just a line, it's the height. And what do we need to find the area of a triangle? We need the height. Now look, this one worked out really nice because all I got to do is just count, right? So let's just count. From here straight down to here, all right? Or perpendicular, right? So that's 1, 2, 3, what? 4. So what is the height? The height is 4. So let's do the area. So the area is base times height. What's the base? 7 times the height, which is 4, divided by 2. And that's, right, it's 28 divided by 2, which is 14. So that's the area. Can you see that 1 right there? All right. That's not so bad, is it? Yes. It's the same exact thing. Watch, 1/2 is just half of 28. Okay. It's 7 and 4. The base is 7, the height is 4, right? Now don't take half of 7. Do this. You could take half of 4. You could take half of 4, which is 2, times 7 is 14, right? Or you could just take half, multiply that together. What's that? 28. What's half of 28? It's 14. Either way you do it. Okay, you could have taken, you're right. You could have taken half of 4, which is 2, and then 2 times 7. Right? You're not taking half of both of them, are you? You're not taking half of 7 and half of 4. You're just multiplying them together. Half of 4 is 2 times 7 is 14. I don't know. I kind of like this way. I tend to go this route right here, but it doesn't matter. All right, it looks a little busy, looks a little crazy, but really, was it that difficult? I don't think it was. Okay, plot the points, draw the triangle. Perimeter, that was the hardest one, wasn't it? The perimeter, because you had to find those two lengths. The area is kind of easy because the base was pretty simple, the height was pretty simple. Multiply them together, take half of it, and you're done. So you're going to have 4 problems like that on the worksheet, all right? All right, I think we've covered everything. I think you should be good to go. Now, I'm going to give you the worksheet, but this is not just a play around time. This is not just study hall. This is not just wait around till the bell rings time. This is a time where you actually work on this. Get help from each other if you need it. Get help from me. I'll be walking around. All right, so this is a time to get some help. Make sure you know how to do this. Try to get it done by the end of class if you can. If you can't, it's due for homework tomorrow, so I'll collect it tomorrow. Okay?
So you're not going to
I'm not collecting it today. I'm collecting it tomorrow, but you still need to work on it hard in class.